Hey Browns fans, let's dive into what's going on with our offense and how we can turn things around as we head into week 4 against the Raiders. Before we get into the latest news, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any updates on the Cleveland Browns. Everyone is talking about what's wrong with the Browns offense this season. 3 weeks in, we've had some serious struggles, and it's not just one issue. I know a lot of pressure is being placed on Deshaun Watson, especially with his high-profile contract and everything that's been going on off the field. Watson himself has said that those criticizing him aren't watching what's going on in the video room, and to be fair, he's not the only one to blame here. The Browns' offensive line is dealing with injuries and has allowed the quickest snaps in the entire NFL. That's not making Watson's life any easier. But what may surprise some of you is that our receivers are also playing a role in these offensive struggles. One stat that really stands out is the number of dropped passes, and it's shocking. Amari Cooper, who we usually trust, has dropped 6 passes this season. To put that in perspective, he has as many or more drops than 30 of the 31 teams in the league. That's right, not just players, but entire teams. And it's not just him. Elijah Moore and Pierre Strong have each dropped 2, and other guys like David Njoku, Jerome Ford, and Cedric Tillman have also contributed to this problem. These drops are happening at key times, and they're really stalling plays that could have led to points. Plus, we're not getting much help from our running game. The Browns are in the bottom third of the league in rushing yards per game, which is something you don't normally expect from us. So while it's easy to point the finger at Watson, it's clear that this is a team-wide problem, especially when you consider how underperforming the offensive line, receivers, and running game have been. Now, let's talk about the positives this Sunday. It's fitting that we're playing the Raiders, because as their former owner Al Davis used to say, just win, baby. That's exactly what we need to do. After a 1-2 start, there's no doubt that this season hasn't gone as planned, but this matchup against Las Vegas could be just what we need to get back on track. The Raiders are just as banged up as we are, and they'll be without some key players. Their edge rusher Max Crosby is questionable, and wide receiver Devontae Adams has already been ruled out. Those are 2 huge absences that could work to our advantage. Without Crosby, Watson should have more time to make plays and avoid some of the pressure that's been killing us. And with Adams out, the Raiders' offense will be without its best playmaker, which gives our defense a chance to shine. Head coach Kevin Stefanski often says that winning is a deodorant, and in the NFL, that couldn't be more true. If we had somehow pulled off that comeback win last week against the Giants, we'd still be talking about the mistakes and issues, but it wouldn't feel nearly as bad. At the end of the day, all that matters is wins and losses, and this week is a chance to put one in the win column and get some positive momentum going. No one's going to remember how ugly things looked in September if we can turn this around and make a run. That's the beauty of the NFL. It's a week-to-week league, and right now, we just need to pass this test on Sunday. Beat the Raiders, figure out what worked, fix what didn't, and get ready for the next challenge against Washington. Now, I know things look bleak right now. The vibes around the team are low, but this is the perfect opportunity to get back on track. We've got the talent, and if we can put together a complete game on both sides of the ball, there's no reason we can't come out of Vegas with a win. I've got a bold prediction for you guys this week. Myles Garrett is going to have a huge game. We've seen him create pressure consistently all season, and this week, I think he's going to take it to another level. Raiders quarterback Gardner Minshew probably still has nightmares from last season when Myles had a monster game against him while he was with the Colts. Garrett finished that game with 9 tackles, 2 strip sacks, and even blocked a field goal. Minshew knows firsthand what Myles can do, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Garrett bring him down multiple times this Sunday. Last week, Garrett's streak of strip sacks ended, but I'm betting he'll be back in the sack column this week, maybe even more than once. He's going to be hunting Minshew all game long, and I expect him to be the difference maker on defense. All right, Browns fans, what do you think? Do you believe we can take advantage of the Raiders' injuries and get back in the win column? Do you think this is the game where Deshaun Watson and the offense finally click? Deshaun Watson has been under fire this season, and one of the biggest critics right now is none other than ESPN's Stephen A. Smith. Watson hasn't been playing anywhere near the level we all expected when he was traded to Cleveland. Remember, in 2020 with the Texans, Watson was a legitimate MVP candidate. That version of Deshaun Watson? We didn't see him in a Browns uniform. Let's rewind a bit. 2021 was the year Baker Mayfield led us to the playoffs, winning 11 games. But then the big trade happened. Andrew Berry made a bold move, sending a ton of draft picks to Houston for Watson, hoping he would be our franchise QB. But Watson is a long way from that, especially after sitting out 2021 due to a contract dispute and those off-field allegations. And then came last season. He was suspended for 11 games, and by the time he returned to the field, it had been almost a year and a half since he'd played football. He showed flashes here and there, like that comeback against the Ravens, where he went 14 of 14 in the second half. But a shoulder injury ended his season the following week. Fast forward to this season, and it's been a tough one. Through 3 games, Watson hasn't found his groove, and Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back on First Take this week. He said, and I quote, "I don't know what the hell happened to him since that period of time, but the only thing we know about him is that the lawsuits against him have been dismissed, but so has his play." Strong words from Stephen A. But he's not wrong. That MVP caliber QB we traded away seems like a distant memory. The reality is that Watson's $230 million guaranteed contract now feels like a huge burden on this team. But as Browns fans, we know the front office will keep sending him out there, hoping he can somehow rediscover his old form. Sunday's game against the Las Vegas Raiders is critical. Kickoff is at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's not just another game, it's a chance for Watson to prove to everyone, including the skeptics, that he can still be the player we all thought he was. All right, Browns fans, what do you think? Is this the week Watson turns things around, or are you as worried as Stephen A? Our Browns are headed to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders, both teams looking for their second win of the season. We're coming off a win over Jacksonville, and the Raiders beat Baltimore. This season has been a roller coaster, especially with our struggles at home. But here's what needs to happen for us to come out on top this weekend. First, we have to start strong on offense. You know, the first half hasn't been our best friend this year, averaging just over 7 points. Deshaun Watson is throwing for about 70 yards in the first half, which ranks him 30th in the NFL, not where we want to be. But hey, it's not all Watson's fault. Our offensive line has been banged up, and that's made it hard for Deshaun to step up and make those big plays we know he can. Ken Dorsey, our offensive coordinator, said it's all about execution, and I agree. If we can put together some long, productive drives early, that will give us a real chance to control the game. Watson's chemistry with our receivers also needs to work better. With a 57.8% completion rate, we rank 28th. Deshaun is working on building that connection with the receiving core, and a little more work on the screen and sideline communication should help us do that. Now, let's talk about defense. We're known for forcing turnovers, but this season, we've struggled. We haven't thrown a single interception, and that needs to change if we want to win the turnover battle. Denzel Ward and Martin Emerson Jr. have come close, but they're missing those big plays. Ward is confident, though, saying that if we keep doing our job, those turnovers will come. Let's hope Sunday is the day those takeaways finally go our way. And of course, we can't forget about the Raiders' offense. Even though Devontae Adams is out with an injury, they have T.E. Brock Bowers, who is on fire. He set a rookie record with 156 receiving yards in his first 2 games, so our defense will have its hands full. Jacoby Myers has also been a solid target for them, so keeping those guys in check will be crucial. Don't worry, though. Our defense has had its ups and downs against the best receivers, some good, some bad, but I think they're ready to respond and put an end to it on Sunday. So, Browns fans, what do you think? Is our offense finally finding its groove? Can the defense start piling up those turnovers? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear from you. And before you leave, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the latest Browns news. Go Browns!